Hello, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're playing some advanced prototype. We're over here on Still Sean. There's a couple things that I want to talk about in this video. First thing first, Still Sean, it's a server. How to put it? It doesn't make sense for them to keep the server open when we have Starforge. They're both East Coast servers, if you guys didn't know. This one used to be West Coast. This was essentially all the West Coast servers merged into one. They really should just make this one a West Coast server again if they're not willing to basically merge the servers. They really should. If not, they should honestly just lower the cost of transfers in general. Or, just another hypothetical here, they can make the Legacy Bay not only just Legacy, maybe have a page where you could pay like 2,000 cartel coins or something like that. This is a way that they can make money. And make a server-wide Legacy Bay. This would be incredible because this means that you can move your gear to whatever server you wanted. And this would also promote people to level characters on every single server. And that means pretty much every single server's economy is kind of getting propped up a little bit. This also means, you know, people really just need to get one set of gear or two sets of gear or whatever. And they're pretty much set. They don't really need to like worry. I think this would be much better. Just in general, being able to take my gear from any server to over here would be great. Even if it costs like something, you know, to get rid of credits from the game, like even if it cost me, you know, 20, 30 million to swap it from server to server, I would be willing to pay that. And the main reason for that is that, you know, sometimes people want to play different servers. Sometimes there's, you know, activity on different servers, and having to constantly regrind is not that fun. Another thing I want to talk about before I get off this topic, the first leveling experience of getting all of your tech fragments and whatnot is terrible. So I can't imagine anybody trying to regrind that, especially for new players. It's really bad. I don't think it's a good design. I really think that this would help ultimately everybody, even though you can get the reduced cost 2,500. Anyway, also the server, we do have some changes that I didn't really talk about. The healer changes, I don't really agree with this, obviously. I think I've talked about it like once, but I haven't really said like how much I don't agree with it. Sure, it may not be that massive, but in general, healers are just not really skilled for this expansion. And it really shows. It is not a good time. We lost a lot of defensive power, we lost a lot of utility. We don't have pool DR anymore on Stork. There's a lot of skill expression that was just straight up removed, and a lot of it was pruned just completely from healers. And I think that can be okay if their output is good, but their output is just, it's really just not that good. It's not a good change. And I would really hope to see, you know, in the upcoming balance changes, which they did say when the first one came out, and this is the first batch, so I assume there's more to come. I hope that they do more and actually, you know, change some of the talents or implants, or I guess you call them set bonus, to make healing better. That would be great. Or even some of the abilities. I'd love to see this with a lot of other classes as well, not just healers, but in general, I would just love to see healers do better. And that's just not the only thing that's holding PvP back in general. This is one thing that you do notice about Still Sean. There's a lot of healers, and there's a lot of bug healers in general. So if you're new to the game and you're trying to learn the game, this isn't a terrible server. If you ended up just happened to be here and have gear here, it doesn't seem that bad. But in general, when it comes to groups, group is obviously a lot better than the solo players, but also at the same time, just in general, when it comes to Starforge versus Still Sean, I would say the group players over on Starforge are just way better. It's not even close, and I think that's part of the problem with Still Sean. It really makes it just easy to stagnate as a player. But when it comes to Starforge, it might just be a little bit too sweaty for the people that are kind of new to the game, and they're not able to really grasp how bad they're getting beat. And it's really hard nowadays as a solo player to really deal with a group just in general. Back in the day when we had a lot more defensive power, a lot more healing, and just a lot more everything in general, and everybody was willing to fight non-stop. You had a lot more breathing room, you were able to get a lot more done. Now you kind of have to fight by yourself if there's a group, because everybody else will just give up. Not a good feeling, not a good time. It is just bad overall, which leads into me wanting to say, hey, you know, I know bolster was pretty much removed. Why can't we have something back that makes gearing a little bit easier? I've added a couple of different ideals. For example, you can just tie augments to the PvP gear itself, so people actually have a reason to go for the PvP gear. Expertise is not a terrible ideal. I know a lot of people liked expertise. It couldn't really be that bad at this point. A lot of people can get the gear pretty easily, and I don't think it would be a bad thing. We've had expertise modded gear before. Not a crazy concept for us to get that back. Much less, even if we don't do that, you can still build the augment into the gear and make the gear unaugmentable. It's not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple. And then we wouldn't have to worry about, you know, getting augments for PvP. They would just automatically be built into our gear. And those people that are leveling up and they're upgrading their gear, they're not going to have to worry about constantly augmenting their gear, which is a problem. This also means a lot of people are at a stat disadvantage. However, if we just had bolster back in general, and it was actually relatively functional, and it actually gave stats for missing augments, which, you know, would be the main reason to have it back, we would be in a good spot overall. Players wouldn't be so, as how to put it, not noodle. There's words that I'm going to use, but they're not appropriate. So I'm trying to think here. They wouldn't be so weak, I guess you could say. That'd be the easiest way to say it. They wouldn't be so weak. A lot of these players will come in here with no gear, they'll have no augments. They'll have like 7,000-8,000 power. They're hitting for a max of like 20k on a crit. It's not good. Their crit rate is low. They might have like 3 or 4k accuracy for some reason because they get told that they need accuracy so they can hit, but nothing they hit with does any damage. It's just really bad design, and when it comes to gearing in PvE, obviously you need 10% accuracy to even compete. So, you know, it's just an even worse experience trying to get into PvP. So, you know, having bolster, that would be helpful, but also at the same time, you know, even just equalizing stats at this point, I wouldn't be against. It's something I wanted for a long time, but, you know, it's an MMO RPG. At the end of the day, you know, most of the games outside of Guild Wars 2 pretty much are all focused on some sort of gear grind. I would say Blade Soul might have been the only other one, but that game is pretty pay to win, so don't really care to compare that one. Other than that, you know, there's a lot of things they could do to make it a lot better. And if you've watched this game, if you actually pay attention, like, this is just like a dream game for anybody that's just like wanting to chill and just not pay attention at all. I'm pretty sure I'm like autopilot half of this, just like, you know, wow, this is kind of like what PvP used to be. But, you know, there'd be more people on the enemy team that would actually fight back, and my team would fight back a little bit more. My team seems to be really interested in the objective, but because their team is not able to defend themselves very well, I'm able to kind of just dominate mid if I want to, which is great. Even though that may not be my intent of actually grabbing the ball, I don't really want to let them just have the ball and do whatever they want with it. At least if it's convenient for me to stop them. Anyway, yeah, still Sean probably should be West Coast. And outside of that, if you guys have any questions about AP or you want to learn how to play AP, it's actually pretty simple. I do have multiple guides on it. If you guys have any questions about it, feel free to ask. If you guys are interested, am I running accuracy? No, I'm actually not running accuracy. Sometimes I do find accuracy to be worthwhile. If I run accuracy, how do I do it? I usually run one enhancement and a stem at max. I feel like our stat pool is in this weird situation where we can hit mastery and crit DR almost, but not really be able to afford accuracy, which is weird. And if you're curious about what point mastery starts to DR, it's around 18.5 thousand. That's a lot of mastery, and if you're running stimulated, it's not as bad to reach. If you're not running stimulated, you're pretty much not hitting it, so don't even worry about it. Other than that, you know, nothing's really changed, and I do plan on tackling more of the guides soon. I know I wanted to get Rage out soon. My only real issue is obviously these guides take quite a long time. Honestly, the longest part of the guide is screenshotting all the abilities. I don't know if I want to continue doing that with the new video, but I probably should. am thinking about getting the other parse thing, the orbs or whatever, so I can replay my combat, so I can just use those icons instead. Maybe I do that instead. I don't know. Let me know. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching and listening.